Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. How are you today? Welcome to today's.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, Malim.
You are welcome on board.
Morning.
And I'm happy to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Feel welcome. I am Andrew Ondari, ready to take us through this program this morning, which we have given the title Organizational Design and Change Leadership. This is the second module of the Certified Human Resource Director. For those of us who are with us last week, we looked at strategic HR frameworks and board management. When we look at organizational design and change leadership, several questions come to mind. One of which is where an organization is poorly designed and change is not well managed. When you imagine such an organization, several things may happen. One, the roles and responsibilities are not aligned. Two, there are many conflicts in terms of job roles. Three, there are duplications in terms of performance and even results. Four, the organization is not able to serve its customers effectively or delight them. Where change is not managed very well, resistance arises, employees become frustrated, and there is a possibility of high levels of turnover. Such is a situation in organizations that we want to cure by looking at how we can effectively design our organizations and manage change effectively. As I will mention, organization design is not about creating a structure. It is about creating systems, processes, and procedures to ensure that people perform their functions efficiently and effectively. On change, we'll look at various types of change, such as policy, strategy, culture, and even systems. But our focus will not be on change itself, because change is what is happening in an organization. We want to talk about transformation. So as HR leaders, we have a responsibility of managing transformation, where transformation involves the emotional, psychological, and attitudinal elements that shape the behavior of people during the change process. So to start us off, I want us to look at the themes that will inform our discussion today. One is enterprise design models that our organizations, depending on what business you are engaged in, you have different organization structures, such as functional or divisional or customer-based or matrix, and in some cases combined. And I will mention when and where these designs are used for purposes of achieving organizational objectives and strategy. Secondly, we will look at agile organizational structures. As we are all aware, we operate in a dynamic environment. And for that reason, we need to adapt quickly to changes in this environment. Organizations that can adapt quickly are likely to be successful. Unlike traditional organizations that were rigid and hierarchical. So we want to move away from the traditional hierarchical organizations to more flat and flexible structures. Thirdly, we'll look at change leadership frameworks by way of looking at what constitutes change and what is our role as HR managers in this change process so that we can achieve the intended outcomes. Yes, change is a constant, and for that reason, we need to manage these changes effectively. We will also look at the features of an effective change leader, as well as the mindset of a change-oriented leadership. And then lastly, we will look at culture change and also give a small excerpt to illustrate how an organization is struggling with its current structure and perhaps what needs to be done for it to achieve its strategic objectives. And again, as I will mention, culture is strategy for breakfast. The moment we don't have the right culture in place, then strategy collapses. However good our strategic plans are, if our cultural practices, norms, and behaviors are not aligned, then the outcome is strategic drift or failure. And that is why today morning, we are focusing on culture change. What is it that we can do to ensure that we change our cultures in a way that does not disrupt, that supports our strategic plans? By looking at all this, it brings us to mind that we have moved away from the traditional administrative functionaries to more strategic and policy-oriented human resource managers. And again, when you talk of structures and enterprise designs, it speaks to the element of people management, that you cannot have a structure without people, because it is through this structure that we hire talent, through this structure that we promote, through this structure that we retain, and through these structures that we manage change. So by and large, we are going to look at all these elements in line with our strategic role as HR managers. On the part of change, we are going to look at how today's HR managers have become change agents, that we facilitate the identification, implementation, and monitoring of change in our organizations. In that way, we are able to create ownership among employees to improve performance, because through change management, we are able to reduce resistance, and that through change, we are able to achieve our strategic objectives. So those are the 4 key themes that we will be looking at this morning, starting now. Enterprise design models is our first theme, whereas I have indicated in my introduction, we need to ensure that our organizations are not only well structured, but also well designed. I want to use the analogy of a house so that we can discuss the concept of organization structure and organization design. Building a house is creating an organizational structure. So that house is your organization, how jobs are related, and what responsibilities people have. When you talk of organization design, it's now about moving people into that house that you have constructed, so that 1, people have the right attitudes, 2, roles are aligned, 3, there is buy-in of the employees. So please take note, organization structure is creating the framework of reporting relationships and job roles. And organization design involves the process of designing jobs that are aligned to organizational strategy, creating working relationships among people so that there are no conflicts, and then managing any changes that come within the organizational structure. So having said that, I want us to look at a brief introduction to organization design. By way of definition, I have indicated that organization design is a holistic process. And this process involves creating a structure of an organization so that it achieves its strategy in an efficient, effective, and sustainable manner. When we talk of holistic, we are not just looking at reporting relationships. We are looking at the jobs. We are looking at the hierarchies. We are looking at processes, and we are also looking at systems. So it is not a thing, but a combination of several aspects so that an organization functions efficiently and effectively, as opposed to a structure, which is that thing that organizes businesses. But design becomes a process of developing clear jobs, creating clear relationships for aligning with strategy. Then what is the purpose of enterprise design? Basically, it helps to guide organizational structure so that it supports strategy. By definition, we can say an organization structure is a diagram that shows reporting relationships in an organization. And through organization design, we are able to create this structure. So where does design begin? It begins from job analysis. And then from a job analysis, we create job descriptions. And from those job descriptions, we create relationships among those job descriptions. And then we create that structure so that we show who is reporting to who and what their roles are. So a well-structured organization achieves efficiency and effectiveness. Thirdly, enterprise design or organization design is about alignment. That everything we do in HR should be aligned or supportive of the corporate goals and objectives. We participate in the design of organizations so that the jobs are designed in a way that helps to achieve organizational goals. So through a structure, we are able to establish, one, the roles performed by employees, two, their responsibilities, and three, what they are expected to achieve. And all this must support the attainment of business goals or strategy. Allow me to mention that structure follows strategy. We have corporate strategies such as financial efficiency, two, generation of revenues, three, customer satisfaction and experience, and four, business growth. We can be as specific as we can by mentioning figures such as increasing revenue by 20% or enhancing customer satisfaction by 80%. Those are corporate strategies. So where does an enterprise design come in? One, it's through the jobs that are designed. Are the jobs clear so that everybody understands what they do? If the jobs are not clearly defined, then the people may not perform very well towards the attainment of those corporate strategies. The same with the reporting relationship. Depending on the size of your organization, the structure can be tall or short. Tall structures are commonly found in government institutions or large organizations where the reporting relationships has a very narrow span of control, meaning that there are few people that are supervised by managers. And in some cases, there are so many people supervised by a few managers, especially in flat organizations. The levels of supervision affect the performance of people, and the poor performance affects the attainment of corporate strategy. And that is why we are saying that a well-designed enterprise is one that is aligned with its corporate strategies and objectives. Another concept associated with enterprise design is flexibility. That a well-designed organizational structure is one that adapts to changes in the market. There are many changes that take place in our environment. For example, economic changes, technological changes, as well as legal changes. When these environments change, they can affect the structure of an organization in one way or another. I want to give an example of an economic change where the economic environment is not performing well, meaning that customers are not buying as much, very little money in circulation, and therefore organizations are financially strained. So what happens? These organizations may have to restructure, and the restructuring may involve downsizing or retrenching. The moment we talk about downsizing and retrenching, our structures have to change. So we have to eliminate roles from our structures which are no longer tenable, given the financial constraints that an organization is facing. So during economic recessions, organizations may downsize, and therefore their structures are affected because some roles may be merged and others eliminated. Talking of technology, we have witnessed in the recent past changes in technologies, such as digital innovations. And in this case, we automate certain roles. And by automating, it means that we eliminate the human intervention in performing certain operations. So when we eliminate humans from our process, then it means job roles are going to be eliminated as well, which are contained in the organization structure. So a good enterprise is one that responds quickly to changes in the environment, and that calls for flexibility. The other aspect is roles. These are the various jobs that are performed by different people to serve customers or produce goods and services. And a good enterprise that is well designed is one where the roles are clearly defined, which means that there are no overlapping responsibilities, reporting lines, or decision making. With the clarity of roles, people are able to focus on what they have to achieve, how and when. Unlike when the roles are not clear and there are many overlaps. And then lastly, enterprise design involves processes. I indicated earlier that design is about ensuring that the organization is structured in a way that achieves its objectives. So in terms of process, we need to clearly define the workflows. How do people perform their work from beginning to end? Whether it is a personal assistant, whether it is a HR officer, or whether it's a finance officer. Are there processes that enable them to produce the desired goods and the services? And then integration, that the workflows are connected so that there is smooth operation. that if they are not connected, then there is likely to be conflict. And then coordination, that everything should work together in harmony. So in enterprise design, as we have indicated, it is a process of ensuring that we create a structure that is aligned to corporate strategy, is flexible, and that processes are well coordinated. I want us to move to the various design models. And there are many. These are not the only ones. And again, depending on the organization with which you work. Functional designs are organizations where similar roles or activities are grouped together to form a department. And these departments may include human resource, marketing, ICT, public relations, or finance. As you can see, all those departments are specializations. HR is a specialized function where only qualified personnel can perform its function effectively. The same with marketing, that anybody who is involved in advertising, in communication, and the selling of a product, it's a specialized function. And this kind of design is mainly found in one product organizations or organizations that are based in one location. For example, it could be a hospital located in Nairobi, and it has those functions. Within a hospital, there are various specializations like orthopedics, where different personnel specialize. Or it could be a manufacturing organization producing goods and services. So in this manufacturing organization, there could be finance, there is marketing for those products, and also there is human resource. But the moment this organization becomes bigger and expands to other markets, then it becomes a divisional model where many products and the markets and regions are served. We have many such organizations that are divisional in nature, and these are usually large organizations. What could be an example of such kind of an organization, which has different products, different markets, and different regions? Such an organization is Coca-Cola. Despite its origins in the US, it has markets elsewhere in the world, in Africa, in East Africa, in Europe, in Asia. And therefore, you can talk about those markets and regions. What products does it produce? Usually soft drinks, such as Coke, Fanta, and others. So that is an example of a divisional organization design. Here in Kenya, We may have divisional designs, especially for those of us who are working in government. Our government is huge or large, so to speak. So we may have some people serving in the Nyanza region, others in Western region, others in Central region, others in Coast region. And they have different products that they are offering depending on the ministry to which they belong. And they serve different customers called the markets. Such organizations may have divisional designs. That does not mean that within them they do not have functions. They do, for effective and efficient management of people and other resources. And then matrix organizations are those that combine functional, divisional, or product organizations. It is a matrix because there are several reporting relationships or dual reporting relationships. And this is usually found in project organizations where people are multi-skilled or multitasked and can perform different functions at the same time. Rather matrix organizations are fairly complex because they combine both functional and divisional. A company like Dell may have functional matrix organizations, rather, that within its parent company, you have a functional structure. And then there are divisions where these products could be sold or regions. They could be sold in Asia, could be sold in Africa and elsewhere. So a combination of both functional or divisional / products forms a matrix structure. Those of us who are working in project organizations, for example, housing construction, different people come together from different backgrounds. So you may have a marketing manager, you may have a human resource manager, you may have an ICT manager, and on the side, you have a project manager, engineers, as well as structural designers. All these people work together to deliver a project. And that is why there is need to work closely so as to avoid any conflicts that may arise from dual reporting relationship. So on one side, there are functions like marketing, finance, and on the other side, there are engineers, designers, who also have a role to play, but all of them have to work together. This kind of structure promotes teamwork. There is another kind of structure that is emerging in today's organizations, and this is flat structure. That many of our traditional structures were tall and hierarchical. Tall meaning that there were so many layers from the top to the lowest person. And the reporting relationship was fairly long. In addition, with tall structures, is that the span of control, which I will mention, is narrow. Very few people being supervised by one manager. Such kind of structure takes long to make decisions. It is expensive because of the many layers where people are paid for doing so little. And 3, it discourages initiative because of the many layers of authority and the decision-making levels. So flat structures are short and broad-based, where there are many people at the lower levels to deliver services or produce goods, and very few people at the top. With such a kind of a structure, there is more collaboration, meaning that people work together as teams, and decision-making is faster. Why is it faster? It's because of the few layers through which people have to go for decisions to be made. So today, organizations have become flatter, especially private sector organizations, so as 1, to encourage faster decisions, 2, promote effective communication, 3, enhance teamwork, and 4, reduce cost. But in public sector organizations, we have always had a very tall structure, which is hierarchical. By the time you get an issue addressed by the top management, happened. And on a lighter note, 1, you will have given up, or 2, you will have died. And then there's another one, which is also emerging, especially in a technological environment like ours, where people are working together in partnership, different organizations working together. So that is a network design where one organization may be involved in manufacturing, and another organization may be involved in marketing. So such arrangements of collaboration is one bring about synergy, that each of the partners bring on board different strengths, and together they are able to succeed. For example, organizations that are producing goods, either here in Kenya or elsewhere in the world, can work or partner with an organization such as Netflix. Netflix has the technological resources to market products. And those products that are produced by different organizations can be sold through Netflix. So such kind of network requires that people work collaboratively so that they can leverage on their strengths. And then lastly, another design is hybrid, which combines 2 or more of the models that we have mentioned. So it could be a combination of functional, divisional matrix, or 2 of them. Why? It's because our environment has become very complex. And again, with your permission, allow me to remind us of the VUCA concept. VUCA. V is volatile. U is uncertain. C is complex. And A, ambiguous. So under complex environments, we need to adapt our structures so that they are able to address these complexities. And this complexity has come about due to 1, high levels of competition, 2, technological advancements, 3, economic changes. So organizations that can survive in this complex environment are those that, one, are able to work with others through collaborations, such as networks. Two, adopt flatter structures so that they can save on their financial resources, or use matrix organizations where they can share resources. One of the key features of a matrix organization is where resources are shared. For example, a secretarial pool, that instead of a manager having his or her own secretary, they can share one secretary in matrix organizations, because the secretary understands both functional and divisional or product structures. So hybrid combines all this so that organizations are able to meet their complex needs in terms of customer satisfaction, quality of products, and also market reach. Before we take a break, I want us to look at the considerations when designing these organizations. One is the element of strategy. As we all know, strategy, rather, structure follows strategy. That you cannot start with a structure instead of a strategy. The strategy is the game plan of where you are going and how you will get there. But for structure is a tool that enables us to achieve that strategy. So the structure of an organization must be such that the roles, the responsibilities, and the reporting relationship helps to achieve corporate strategy. For instance, if an organization wants to reduce cost by 20%, the structure must be designed in a way that it helps to achieve that objective. And how do you do that? You look at the types of structures that you have. Will functional structure help you to achieve that cost reduction? Will a divisional structure help you? Will a matrix structure help? Flat and others. So you consider the adoption of these structures based on your strategy. What does your strategic plan say? So that you structure your organization around that strategy. Secondly is the level of specialization. Some organizations are highly specialized. For example, hospitals. Not any one of us can walk into a hospital and work effectively, especially in highly specialized areas like orthopedics, oncology, nursing, and others. Only specialists can work in this department. So when you talk of departmentation by functions, for example, that's functional design, you are looking at the level of specialization. So that through specialization, we are able to deliver services in an efficient and effective manner. Thirdly is the element of departmentalization, where jobs are grouped together by function, product, geography, or division, or customer. An example is a university, where you may have departments by function, product, or customer. In a typical university, for example, you may find registrar's office. What is the work of a registrar? is to ensure that students are onboarded effectively and they have all that is required for them to learn. And then within that university, you may have another department, such as finance, which is by function. So in finance, students pay and get their receipts to show that they are eligible to attend class. And in other organizations, it could be a service organization or a manufacturing organization, such as car manufacturing. For example, Toyota. Much as it is located in Japan, it has geographical locations in Africa, in Europe, in the US. So there are divisions within the Toyota structure, and each of them is departmentalized based on products, function, geographical location, or customer. When you talk of customer, for example, you go to a hospital, you may not need all the services. So there are those customer needs that take us to hospitals. For example, you have a problem with your eyes, you go to an optician. You have a problem with your ears, you go to a specialist. So when you are designing your organization, you need to consider how you are going to departmentalize or group jobs so that one, there are no conflicts. Two, there are effective outcomes. And three, that they are aligned with the corporate strategy. The other consideration is the level of centralization and decentralization. Most small organizations and perhaps family-based organizations are highly centralized, meaning that only one person or two may make decisions affecting the whole organization. Compared to large organizations like government institutions, they are highly decentralized. For example, ministries make their own decisions. State corporations make their own decisions. And also agencies make their own decisions. So these MDAs are decentralized. After the 2010 Constitution, our governance system also changed. We used to have a centralized government under one president, and now we have a decentralized government where we talk about the county government. So we have the national government and the county government. The county governments perform their own functions with or without supervision from the central government, but they have to work together to achieve a common objective. With this centralization or decentralization, there are objectives to be achieved. In centralization, we are looking at uniformity of decisions and policy. In decentralization, we are talking about customization of decisions and even products so that we can serve different markets or customers, which means that in decentralized structures, there could be faster decisions compared to centralized, especially in large organizations. And then there is the element of span of control. A span of control is the number of employees or subordinates a manager can effectively supervise. And again, depending on what you want to achieve with supervision, it speaks to the kind of work that the organization is involved in. If it is in a hospital, the roles are highly specialized, and therefore the span of control is narrow or short, so that we don't have one doctor supervising 100 officers under him or her, because it requires a lot of attention, a lot of time, and a lot of resources to supervise one person. And therefore, they need to have a narrow span of control compared to wide spans. Why I talk of spans? It is because with a wide span, you have one manager supervising many people. And therefore, you don't need many managers to supervise. And this can only happen where people are qualified and therefore need little or no supervision. Or in a decentralized environment or organization, if I may take us back to the type of structures, divisional structures are highly decentralized. So managers make decisions at their own levels. So in this case, the span of control could be narrower or broader depending on your structure. And then lastly is adaptation or adaptability. That as we design these organizations, we should ensure that they are able to adapt to changes quickly. And what are the types of structures that can adapt to change quickly? I can mention a few of them. One is matrix organizations, two, flat organizations, and three, hybrid. Because in hybrid, we are talking about developing structures that can meet complex needs. And our environment is very complex and therefore need to adapt very quickly. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the key considerations when we are talking about designing our organizations. What are the steps for implementation? For those of us who do not have a structure yet, these are the steps. One, you assess your current structure. I'm assuming that some of us may want to start their own businesses sooner or later. So where do you start? Assess your current structure. If you don't have one, review other structures of similar business so that you look at their roles, reporting, relationships, workflows, inefficiencies, and misalignments, so that when you design your structure, there are no gaps, there are no inefficiencies, and there are no misalignments. This can be demonstrated where there are many duplications, or there are many conflicts, or workflows are not producing results. So in that case, you need to review your structure so that you can also redesign it. Secondly, you look at your strategic goals. Is the current structure helping you to achieve your current mission, vision, and strategy? If not, then there is a gap that needs to be addressed. Then thirdly, you design roles and the departments depending on your needs. So those roles relate to the functions that people have to perform and the departments to which they belong, so that we can create either a functional structure, a divisional structure, matrix, or a network. And that is what we are looking at here by way of designing roles so that we can create those departments, either functional or flat or networked or matrix. And then the next step is to set decision-making authority by way of determining who makes decisions at what levels. And again, in centralized organizations, one manager makes all the decisions. In decentralized organizations, several managers make decisions so that the organization is responsive and that decisions are made quickly. And then on span of control, you look at the number of people who are directly reporting to one manager. The larger the span, the more difficult it is for a manager to supervise. You can imagine one manager supervising 100 people. The manager cannot be everywhere, so it becomes difficult. If need be, you reduce the span of control, and if you can't, then you train your employees so that they are all qualified and therefore need little or no supervision. And lastly, once you have determined the span of control, you communicate the new structure to all the stakeholders, implement the structure by way of assigning responsibilities, allocating resources, and monitoring progress, and then adapt. Because our environment is changing, we also need to monitor changes in our environment so that our structure or our organization design becomes flexible. What are the expected outcomes from an effective organization design? One is efficiency, where resources are used prudently without wastage, and the processes are streamlined so that there are no duplications and no wastages. Effectiveness is about production of results. So our design or organization structures should be able to deliver on expected results, particularly the strategic objectives. As I said, an organization design is one that is aligned with strategic objectives. So if a structure does not achieve your strategic objectives, then it's high time you redesigned it. And by redesigning, you are talking about several things. One, the span of control. Two, the job designs. Three, reporting relationships. And four, cost effectiveness of that structure. If it's not cost effective, then you reduce that structure so that you eliminate unnecessary functions. Another expected outcome from an effective organization design is agility, where the structure is able to respond quickly to changes in the market. Today, organizations have limited response time. You delay in responding, a customer moves to the next service or product provider. So if a structure causes a delay, then we are likely to lose our customers. So we need to create a structure that responds quickly to any changes in the market or customer needs. Clarity is another outcome where all roles are clear, responsibilities are not duplicating, and the reporting lines can easily be determined. Though in some cases, like I mentioned in a matrix structure, there could be dual reporting lines. But this does not mean that there is a conflict. If this structure is managed well, it could be producing the best results because of cost cutting and also people working as a team. Another one, when you design a good organizational structure, is collaboration, where people are working. When people work as teams, then we are likely to create synergy. And lastly, innovation. We cannot survive in this current environment without developing creative solutions to our problems. And this can only be supported by a structure that encourages innovation. For example, in networked structures, if I might take us back, networked structures require innovation. Innovation in terms of the functions that we perform, the products that we produce, and the relationships that we create with others. That is the partnership. So we want to network with other innovators. For example, Safaricom partnering with banks so that they can provide the market with innovative products such as mobile banking. So these partnerships is very important because it provides a space for innovation. Or hybrid, because hybrid requires a combination of either divisional, matrix, or functional. That we do not just bring together all this without creativity. So we need to be innovative. And that is why we are saying that one of the outcomes of an effective structure is innovation, where through the structure, we are able to deliver results and produce new products that satisfy customer needs. What are the key takeaways for application of these structures? And again, at the back of our mind, we are thinking about the choice of structures, where there is no one size that fits all. One is about strategy. Does this structure enable you to achieve your strategic goals? So if it doesn't, then you go back to the drawing board and redesign your strategy. Two, size and complexity. Small organizations such as startups may have flat structures where the reporting relationship is short and the hierarchies are fewer. So a small startup, a business across the road, may have one director and maybe a few support staff, so that decisions are faster and that the service deliveries are more efficient and effective. And then complexity, especially in networked organizations or divisional organizations, where different organizations work together. For example, in conglomerates, where different organizations come together to form one large organization, that structure may have to change. And this may come as a result of one, mergers, two, acquisitions, or three, partnerships. So we form those conglomerates by way of bringing together different organizations so that they can synergize themselves. The other takeaway is the environment, that the environment in which we operate plays a big role in the design of our organization. For example, functional structures can operate effectively in stable and predictable environments compared to flat and matrix organizations that can operate in a fast-changing environment. So if the environment is in a continuous state of change, you need to consider a flat structure or a networked structure. But if you are operating in a stable environment like government, then you may adopt a functional structure. And then lastly is the life cycle. Organizations evolve over time. An example is that small startup, which starts small with one person, then that person increases the number of people, becomes 10, 15. And when it grows large enough, there is need for it to become a functional structure where you have specializations like marketing, finance, ICT. And when that organization grows larger by way of opening branches like SBUs, that is strategic business units, then it may have to adopt a divisional structure. And from a divisional structure, you can now combine functional, flat, and divisional structures to form a hybrid structure. So an organization is organic, starting small, and it grows big. And as it grows bigger, there is need for development of hybrid systems. So ladies and gentlemen, that is our first part, which relates to organization design. And I will want to invite all of us to ask their questions, make their comments, or make their suggestions. So the floor is ours, and we are now free to ask our questions or make our comments. Please go ahead if you have a question or a comment to make. Anybody with a question or a comment to make, please go ahead. In no particular order, I might call out some of us. One, Charles Gitao, if you are there, please ask your question or make a comment. Maureen, kindly go ahead with your question or comment. Lea Mwai, if you are there. Okay, Charles, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Charles.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. There are two designs that are a bit confusing me.
Yes.
The matrix and hybrid.
Okay.
Because all through we had the matrix.
Yes.
But now there is the new technologies coming up with now the hybrid.
Yes.
What could be the salient difference or differences between the matrix and the hybrid, kindly?
Okay. Thank you, Charles. As you can see from that slide on bullet free, a matrix structure combines two types of designs. Functional design, where we have specializations like HR, finance, and others. And then two, you have a divisional or product structure, which means that specifically there are only two structures that are combined here. It mostly works in project organizations like I indicated. One could be tempted to say that a combination of functional and divisional is a hybrid. Yes, it's a sort of hybrid, but in a proper hybrid, you can combine multiple models. So you have functional, divisional, flat, and a network. So a combination of all this makes a hybrid combination. For product organizations, they are deliberate. For the project organizations, they are deliberate by way of adopting matrix, deliberate. Why? Because the main mandate of those project organizations is to deliver a product. And therefore, we need people from different specializations to deliver that product. And two, the products are designed for a market. And this combination helps project organizations. As we all are aware, project organizations require people who are multitask. So you have a product and a function. So there are people who are specialized in production of certain specific goods, products, or services. And then function, we have specialized people. So the two of them coming together, you form a matrix organization. But for hybrid, multiple does not mean two, but several. It can combine functional, can combine divisional, can combine flat, can combine network. But for matrix is specifically two, function and product. Charles?
Thank you very much. It's now very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Anybody else with a question? Maureen, if you are there. Ahmed Osman. All right. Apparently, there is no question or comment to be made. Gershon or Joshua, I can see you, Joshua. Go ahead if you have a question. All right. Apparently, there is no question.
You called me.
Oh, yes, Gershon.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to comment that again, I'm refreshed in new organization design. This is a unit I did some time back.
Yes.
And the simplicity with which you have created it, the difference between design and structure, that organizational structure is a thing. It is something we do. But a subset of organizational design. So organizational design is more of a process that entails so much, including job analysis, job description, and in it structure. So hierarchies, processes. I think from that first part of today's lesson, I have those as my takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you, Gershon. Thank you for your comment, and I'm happy that there is a takeaway from that first part of this presentation.
Malim, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, the designs and the structures that you're talking about,
yes,
it appears to me as if it can only apply in the private sector. And the reason why I'm saying this, I've been in the public service for quite some time in HR. But most of what we are learning and what even I had learned in HR, it appeared as if it could not be possible to be applied in the public sector as a civil service.
Yes.
Now, and now the learning we are doing now, it appears as if it can apply more in the private. Now, what you are taking this? How can the public sector combine whatever they have with what we are learning, especially when it comes to this design and the structures of organizations? Is it possible for what we are learning, which appears to be more inclined in the private sector? Is it possible?
Thank you, Charles. I hope it was Charles speaking.
Yes.
And thank you for your question. Yes, most of the designs that I have indicated there and please underline most, may be applicable in private sector organizations. However, let me start with the first one, functional structures. I can tell you for a fact that most public sector organizations are structured around functional areas. For example, in a public sector organization, mention any, whether it's a ministry, a department, or an agency, they have finance. Finance is a function where financial matters are addressed. Secondly, you may have another department like ICT. ICT is a department that is found in most public sector organizations. 3, human resource. And I'm happy that, Charles, you have mentioned having an experience in HR. Within that function of HR, you are performing specialized tasks. So most departments, most agencies have those functions. They may not have marketing, because in government we may not have marketing function, but we have functions like finance, functions like human resource, that is HR, or functions like ICT, and other functions like public relations and communications. So functional structures cut across both private and public organizations. Secondly, divisional structures. And Charles, you can bear me witness that government is fairly large, and therefore spreads over different regions and areas in Kenya. For example, depending on the organization in which you operate, some may be working in central region. Sorry, there is an echo. With your permission, I can stop sharing and come back in a minute. Hello? Sorry, it has gone.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. I think we can go on.
There's a screen that is in the
Okay.
Maureen.
Maureen, if you can switch off your mic, I will be happy. Thank you, Maureen. So I was addressing myself to the other design, which is divisional.
Sorry,
and as you have rightly put it, that you have worked in government. And in government, there are ministries, departments, and agencies which are spread over the regions. You might have a coast regional manager. You might have a central regional manager. You have a Rift Valley regional manager. You have a Nyanza manager. And I can give an example of Kenya Power and Lighting. Those departments are there. So there is a manager in charge of those regions and has his or her people around there. So much as I talked about divisional, meaning products and markets, but I can zero in on regions where government organizations operate. For example, EACC. Every region is represented by EACC officers, be it Northeastern, be it Central, be it Coast. So there's the North Coast and South Coast. And all these divisions are headed by either directors or managers. And now that we are working towards collaborations, ministries, departments can do a network structure where they work together to achieve a common objective. For example, The construction of the Rironi-Mau Summit Road is a partnership between NSSF, the central government, and the government of China. The Chinese have the expertise to construct roads. NSSF had the financial resources, and the central government had the policy instruments. So there is a structure, albeit outside the normal structure, that has been created so that all these people work together so that they achieve an objective. On flat structures, some policy pronouncements have been made before with the intention of encouraging efficiency and effectiveness in public sector. That because of the many duplications that we have had, and an example is in the Ministry of Roads, there are several institutions within this ministry. There is KENHA, there is KERA, there is KURA. And there was talk of the possibility of merging this so that we can create a flatter structure where service deliveries are more efficient and more effective. And there are many other agencies, even in the education sector. You have the Commission for University Education, you have the Kenya Qualifications Authority, you have Higher Education Loans Board, and many other agencies. So the moment we think of merging some of these agencies, the intention is to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. And it's a move towards flatter organizations. But for these others like matrix and hybrid, this could be purely private sector designs. So, Mr. Charles, public sector organizations can embrace functional and divisional, as well as network organizations. And private sector organizations can embrace all of them. Charles?
Thank you very much, Mwalimu. It's very clear, very, very, very clear to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Charles.
Thank you.
Let us move on to the next part, that is the second part of our presentation today, and that is agile organizational structures. Agility is not a choice that we make today, but it is a must. A must because we have to adapt quickly to changes in our environment. In my introduction, I said that our environment is changing. What is changing? One, government policies and legislations. Two, technology. We are adopting digital technologies today in our work environment. Three, the economic environment is changing. And lastly, the political environment is also changing. So organizations that can survive these changes are those that become or remain agile. Agile because they are able to adapt quickly to changes in the environment. Even public sector organizations, which were thought to be very rigid, today they are becoming more agile. If we look at the processes, systems, and policies within government, we can see some level of agility. Why do we talk of agility in structures? One, structures affect employee performance. How do they affect performance? One, the roles that people are given, if they are not clear, they will not perform. 2, reporting relationship. If there are no clear reporting relationship within the structure, then employees may not perform effectively, which means that delegation and even supervision becomes difficult. And 3, that changes in structure affect the way we deliver our services as private or public entities. So for that reason, we need to be agile in the way we design our organizational structures. So public sector organizations, private sector organizations are becoming agile. Agile in the jobs that they design, agile in the reporting relationships, and agile in the roles and the way we measure these roles. So to start us off, let us look at what agile organizations are. 1, they respond quickly to changes in the internal and external environment. Our internal environment consists of several things. 1, strategy, culture. 3, systems. And 4, leadership. These are factors within an organization that can make organization structures to change. And how, for example, does leadership of an organization change the structure? That a leader, both in private and public sector organization, can come in an organization, study the structure, and come to the conclusion that it's not efficient and effective. And therefore, proposals are made to improve the structure so that it is able to deliver its mandate. And I'm sure all our organizations have changed over time in terms of structure so that we deliver our services. So an agile organization is one that responds quickly or adapts to changes in the internal environment. The external environment can be classified into 2. 1, the immediate external, and 2, the remote external. The immediate external are industry factors. These industry factors include competition, customers, suppliers. For example, competition. Those of us in private sector compete with others. And when competition is very stiff, organizations look for ways of succeeding. And how can they succeed? 1 is cost leadership. And the cost leadership implies that the organization produces goods and services at the lowest cost without compromising quality. So that cost leadership may be achieved through a number of ways. 1, streamline operations. 2, adopting new technology. And 3, downsizing. And again, the moment you talk about downsizing, you talk about adoption of new technologies in order to compete, it may touch on our structure. So that environment of competition can affect our structure. So for us to compete, we also have to adapt so that we are not left behind. And there are those that are called early adapters and late adapters. Early adopters are able to quickly change their systems and structures so that they can address a market need. But late adopters, because of fear and because of the cost, may delay. Another immediate external environment is customers. Our customers have become very discerning and demanding. They are very knowledgeable and they know what they want. So when they report to an organization seeking any services or products, they require exactly that. There are no stories like, oh, we are waiting. Because the moment a structure does not deliver goods and services on time, then there is a delay and the customers can move to the next provider. So that is an immediate external environmental factor that can affect our structure. The second environment, which is remote, is what we classify as PESTEL. PESTEL, political, economic, social, technological, ecological, and legal. This environment affects all businesses, whether small or large, public or private. A change in political system, for example, affects all organizations. And it comes in the form of government policy. Economic changes, such as exchange rates, or if not exchange rates, it is the strength of the economy, economic recession. These economic factors can affect the structure of an organization. So during periods of economic downturns, an organization should change to become smaller, or if not smaller, let me call it leaner. And when there is an economic boom, the organization can expand to include divisional structures or networked structures. And again, for technology, which is an external environmental factor, I have said that with the new technologies, some jobs may be reshaped, may be eliminated or abolished because of the need to automate certain operations. Secondly, an agile organizational structure is flexible, meaning that it can adjust to situations and unexpected challenges. For example, there is a high demand from customers in a hotel, depending on the season. The management must adjust very quickly by increasing the number of personnel serving customers. And this can only be accommodated in a structure that can adjust. Meaning that in this structure, there are positions that are deliberately left blank, that in case there is an unexpected change, those positions can be quickly filled. And there are many other organizations can flexibly do so, not just in the hospitality industry. Even in manufacturing, if there is a high demand for a product, the manufacturer must go to the factory and produce more, which means more people, more supervisors, and also a change in the processes and systems. So that flexibility is important because it helps organizations to adjust. Next, an agile organization is more decentralized, where different agencies, teams, and even departments make independent decisions. Why do we need this decentralization? It is because there is no waiting time to refer to higher authorities to make a decision. Because under conditions of emergency, a manager can make a decision quickly. Unlike in centralized structures, where the managers have to refer to higher level authorities to seek permission or approval of certain decisions. For example, you are a HR manager in an agency. You need to fill up positions very quickly because there is a gap. In public sector organizations where decisions are centralized, you need to go through the whole process of requisitioning the position, seeking approval, advertising, and giving the requisite notices, probably 21 days, shortlisting, interviewing, which will take. But in decentralized structures, which are agile, decisions are made very quickly. So procurement could be on the spot. That if there is a customer waiting, you don't need to refer to anybody. You simply order the production manager to produce the product. So agile organizations adopt decentralized decision-making systems. Thirdly, is continuous value delivery, continuous value delivery. That most organizations look for ways in which they can deliver value to their customers. And the value relates to the quality of goods, to the timeliness of delivery, and 3, the cost efficiency in the delivery. If a structure does not deliver on these values, then it can become expensive or can cause delays. And again, because customers do not have the luxury of time to wait, they move on to the other provider. So continuous value delivery requires that level of consistency in our structures, that there are no gaps, and that the customers are happy because they are served on time. The other agile structure is collaborative or collaboration, where teams work together to share their knowledge, their resources, and their work. And this can work especially for the types of organizations that I mentioned. I will mention 2. One, flat organizations, where the element of teamwork is encouraged. And 2, matrix organizations, where different functions work together. So for you to be agile, you need to collaborate effectively by way of sharing your knowledge and financial resources. And lastly is innovation. That agile organizations are those that promote innovation or encourage generation of new ideas. So how does this work? That the roles you create in this structure require people with innovation. 2, the teams that work collaboratively, especially in a matrix environment or matrix structure, encourage innovation. And 3, acquisition of new ideas from other organizations, especially in a network organization, is agile. So ladies and gentlemen, an agile organization is one that is characterized by these 6 key elements, though not exhaustive. 1, they respond quickly. 2, they adjust flexibly. 3, decentralized decision making. 4, continuous value addition. 5, collaboration. And lastly, innovation. What are the key principles of agile organizations? And I want to believe that both private and public organizations can be agile. For example, in the public sector, in the former days, people could report to their offices late and sometimes leave earlier, or in other cases, they don't report at all. Or those who report hang their coats behind their desks and go away, which means that service delivery was almost zero. And that is why many people waited in public sector institutions for long periods before they get services. But today, I'm happy to report that most public sector organizations have improved. 1, because of the need to have strategic plans and the structures that help to achieve those strategies. Since the period of RRI, for those of us who can remember, RRI means Rapid Results Initiative. It meant that people had to achieve results within a very short time. And again, those of us who can remember our brother Michuki, he said that results can be delivered in 100 days. That if we can deliver results within a very short time, the focus here is on the customer. Customer centricity. We prioritize customer needs. And allow me to reiterate the customer needs. 1, quality products. 2, timely service delivery. And 3, customer care. We want to visit organizations that care for us or care about us. So these agile organizations, which you have said are flexible, are adaptable, must focus on the customer needs so that customers can be happy. And I'm sure most of public organizations are now focusing on customers so that when you visit, there are shorter waiting time so that customers are happy, and being responsive, that if a customer makes an inquiry, the response is quick. With the customer-centric structures, we are able to satisfy our customers, achieve our strategic objectives, and for private organizations, achieve a competitive advantage. Secondly, another principle, a principle is basically a guideline, that it is an iterative process. Iterative because it involves several repetitive actions, but each action is an improvement of the previous one. That's why it is an iterative process. It could be repetitive, but ensures progressive improvement. And how does this work? That in agile organizations, we do experimentation. we experiment with the new ideas, with the new products, and even with the new structures. So those experimentations help us to identify where there are weaknesses and gaps and make improvements. So those improvements are based on lessons learned. And later I will be mentioning about change and the process of change, so that at the end of a change process, we learn lessons. Those lessons become our next areas of focus so that we don't have a repeat of what happened. So there is progressive improvement in agile organizations because we experiment and we make continuous improvements based on the lessons that we learn. 3 cross-functional teams, and if I may take us back to the designs that we mentioned, for example, matrix organizations, which combines functional and product, networked organizations, and the last one, which Charles mentioned, which is hybrid. This kind of organizations bring on board diverse skills from different people. For example, we are working as HR with finance and ICT. We want, for instance, to introduce an innovative system. And this system might be like a dashboard where we post ideas, we post results in real time on the dashboards. So we have to work closely with ICT so that they can design a dashboard that is workable. And also work with finance because there are financial implications when we onboard a dashboard. So we must work together. And as I said earlier, when people work together, they achieve synergy. So agile organizations are that collaborate with one another. And if I might take us back to what we mentioned a little earlier, there is a bullet 5, collaboration. And that collaboration is what we are bringing here in bullet 3, cross-functional teams, where we solve our problems, we engage each other collectively. Employee empowerment, especially in a decentralized organization. And again, as I mentioned, agile organizations have decentralized decision-making. If you look at bullet 3, agile organization structures, decentralized. So with the decentralized structures, employees are empowered to make decisions without reference to higher authorities. Why? There is faster decision making. 2, there is little waiting time. And 3, faster problem solving. So that becomes an agile organization where people are empowered. Transparency should be a common denominator in all organizations, but more often than not, it takes a 3rd or 4th position. We need to be open about what is going on in our organization so that people know where they are in terms of their roles, 2, what is changing in their environment, and 3, what are their expectations. An open exchange among managers and employees ensures that employees know what they are expected to do, how, where, and when. So if we want to be agile, we must inculcate a culture of transparency. And as some of us may have it, transparency is one of their core values. So if transparency is your core value, there should be open communication about one, especially in HR, vacant positions. Let everybody know there's a vacancy. Two, shortlisting criteria. Let everybody know the criteria used. Three, equal opportunity for interviewing. There should be no biases. Four, the choice of the panelists. Let everybody be given an opportunity to participate, especially those who qualify. So transparency must not only be embraced, but also be seen to be working, be working in our organizations. And lastly, like I said, the element of adaptability, that means rapid response to changes in our environment. And I can take us back quickly to what we mentioned. Respond quickly and adjust flexibly. That is what we are saying there, rapid or quick response. That if there are delays because of our structure, then we may run into several risks. One, loss of business. Two, loss of employees. Three, loss of market share. And four, loss of money. So an organization structure that does not respond quickly to changes may become very expensive. Very expensive to run because it's rigid, especially in public sector organizations. So such rigid structures delay, and the organizations may not deliver on their mandate. An example today, those of us in public sector organization, is where you cannot buy your resources for the daily operations because of pending bills. For some entities, the pending bills go back up to 3 or 4 years. And therefore, if you need a resource like a printing toner, nobody is willing to supply you with the toners because of the pending bills. And what is causing these pending bills is because of structures and systems in the majority of cases, and the lack of transparency. And they cause delays. So you go to an organization, a public sector organization, you want something to be printed very quickly, it becomes difficult. They will tell you we don't have printing paper, the printer is not working, and that delays services. Why not that certain services can only be offered by public sector organizations? The customers could easily move to other service providers. So rapid response is key so that we delight our customers, and two, we compete in the market, or three, we save resources or reduce the cost of operations. Before we take a break, I want us to look at the benefits of an agile structure. Some of them are repeated, one of which is flexible response, that organizations are easy to adapt quickly to changes in their environment. Secondly, employees are motivated. In relation to structure, we want organizations where people work collaboratively, and therefore employees are able to contribute meaningfully to the organization. How then can organizations create structures that are motivating? One, they create matrix organizations where employees are are able to work together as a team. And in this teamwork, the ideas and the contributions of employees are taken into consideration, and employees are motivated because their ideas are implemented. Just a minute. And again, other organizations that are flat and decentralized, they encourage engagement of people. And in this way, we are likely to attract, to develop, and 3, retain employees. 3, agile structures lead to creative solutions. And again, allow me to take us back to one of the key principles of agile organizations. Elements of agile organizations. The last bullet down there on that screen, innovation. That agile organizations encourage innovation. And looking at these benefits, creative solutions is where employees are encouraged to contribute their ideas and are rewarded for their innovation. Later in this presentation, I'll be talking about change, be it change in structures, change in systems, processes, and even technology, so that if we create a culture of innovation, then we should reward innovation. So an agile structure is that encourages people to contribute their ideas, and then they are rewarded. Team synergy is another element. Sorry for that small interruption. Teams, especially in matrix organizations and the flat structures, teamwork is encouraged. So agile structures are those that encourage people to work together as a team so that they can achieve operational and even strategic synergy. And lastly, customer satisfaction, that with agile structures, there is no waiting time because there are no delays. 2, there is innovation. And 3, customer focus. The needs of customers are satisfied, and therefore the customers are highly to be satisfied. What are the challenges to watch when we are talking about these agile structures, so that I can invite questions? One of the common challenges is the resistance to change, which I will talk about when discussing the concept of change. That structures can change and the people can resist. 1, if they are not aware of the change. 2, if they are not involved. And 3, their roles are not clearly defined. So when creating agile structures, be aware that there is a possibility of resistance to change. And as I will mention, 70% of the changes that happen in organizations revolve around people. And one of the elements of change related to people is buy-in or resistance. So we must be able to manage change in an efficient and effective manner. Secondly, is unclear tasks. And that is why we said in our first part that our organization design must be clearly presented so that there is no confusion about the tasks that people perform and their areas of responsibility. A clearly defined structure is one that helps an organization deliver on its mandate and strategy. If the structure is not clearly defined, then confusion ensues and productivity is affected. Thirdly is all habits. And this relates to two things. One, organizational culture. And two, the organizational structure and levels. Habits are the ways in which people do things, and that become the norms. In the traditional hierarchical structure, decision-making is centralized. And with this centralization, there is little innovation, little flexibility, and that affects service delivery. So those habits in terms of structure can inhibit agility. Talking of culture, the way people behave can affect their performance. The element of teamwork, which traditionally was absent because of the silo system, where people worked within their roles and no cross-functional collaboration. So lack of teamwork can affect agile organizations, and that silo mentality is one of the old habits that we need to take care of. In creating agile organizations is limited resources. And here I'm referring to three resources. One, human resources. Two, financial resources. And three, physical resources. Without adequate and well-trained human resources, we cannot achieve agility. So that relates to the human factor. Tools, this is a physical resource. If we don't have the right technology, we don't have the right equipment, then we cannot create agile structures. And then on funding, we are talking about financial resources. Those of us who are working with county governments, I understand that this is the third month since the last disbursement was done. And many employees in county governments go without pay for a long time. So those delays are challenges that create problems in organizations. And even if you wanted to be agile, meaning that you want to respond quickly to changes, it becomes difficult because of limited financial resources. The other challenge is poor communication, where there is misunderstanding or a lack of clarity in messages, and that causes friction. Agile organizations are those that have clear communication channels, whether oral or written. Messages are clearly understood and that everybody is reading from the same page. And lastly is the challenge of tracking progress in any process. For example, changing an organizational structure from a traditional rigid and hierarchical structure to a modern, flexible and agile structure. Sometimes we do not have effective monitoring systems. where we can measure results using KPIs. For example, a change in culture. How do we measure results? Or a change in structure. How do we measure results as a result of a change in structure? So there must be clear KPIs. Without these KPIs, which could be used as a basis for monitoring progress, then it becomes difficult for organizations to achieve agile systems. So what are the steps for implementing agile systems? Just like we mentioned when we were talking about organization design, you assess the current structure. 2, you plan in terms of goals, teams, processes, and responsibilities. 3, you train people on how they can implement these agile systems. 4, you pilot, you test. That before you fully implement this agile system, it can be good for us to pilot test so that any teething problems can be addressed on time. For example, the SHA system, it had very many teething problems at the beginning, and I'm sure many of them have not been addressed. And this could be attributed to perhaps the challenge of piloting. Piloting required means testing, which many of us may not have had advantage of knowing, and then it was implemented so that we know who is paying for what. So pilot testing is very important when you implement any agile structure. Ideally, SHA was meant to be agile, and I want to believe it can be meant to be agile if there is deliberate effort to ensure that it is working. Scaling, meaning that it can be improved over time. It can be expanded, or other people can be brought on board. That a structure should be scalable. Let it not be so rigid that there is no possibility of adding or increasing the positions that could be required to deliver services more effectively. And then monitoring, we need to establish the performance levels of our organizational structure so that there is value. Like I said, agile organizations deliver value. So we want value in terms of results and continuous improvement. What are the expected outcomes from agile organizations? 1, speed of making decisions so that there is no waiting time, or if there is, the waiting time is short. Adaptability, and that is what I mentioned, quick response to the environment. On engagement, everybody should be brought on board, and by everybody, I mean all the stakeholders, the employees, the managers, the executives, and even the board of directors. Where there is need for buy-in, we need to engage them as early as possible. And then the element of quality as an outcome, that a well-designed structure which is agile helps to enhance product or service delivery using those iterative feedback. And again, iterative, I said those small cumulative improvements resulting from feedback on where we are weak in or where there are gaps. Then collaboration, we said that an agile structure is one that encourages cross-functional teams so that everybody is brought on board and that people are able to contribute. And then innovation, I've talked about it. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to stop there briefly before we talk about change leadership frameworks as the third part of our interaction this morning. So I invite questions and any comments that you may have related to agile organizational structures. So the floor is ours. Please go ahead with your comment or question.
Mr. Ondari?
Yes, please go ahead. Who am I speaking to?
Maureen.
Yes, Maureen, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
What happens when you are a human resource manager in an organization where they do not practice the agile structure and decisions are centralized, and it's the most of the decision, in fact, goes ahead of doing decisions on the employee, yet you are there as the HR. How can you salvage yourself, or how can one go about it?
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Your concern is about adoption of agile structures, particularly where decisions are centralized. Yes, decisions can be centralized depending on the nature of the organization. It could be a startup or a family-based business, or others deliberately centralized decisions for purposes of control. You are the HR manager operating in such an environment, and you want to ensure that the organization adopts these agile structures. So what can you do as a HR manager to ensure that this happens? One is that you make proposals to the senior management on what these agile systems or structures are. A proposal. And then discuss these proposals with the senior management so that you can argue out your case on the need for these agile systems. So agile systems include structure, that the structure is able to adapt quickly. 2, it could be the policies. Your policies should also be agile. 3, your systems, particularly recruitment, training, and performance appraisals, they should be agile. And 4, your reward and compensation system. If you make these proposals to the management and argue your case on how this is going to positively impact on your organization, then you are likely to make a positive contribution towards these agile systems. So that is one way of convincing, because it's about storytelling. You convince the senior management on the need to have these agile systems, especially with regard to human resources. Then 2, as a HR manager, you are strategically positioned to sit in the top management structure so that you can also make your contribution. Like I mentioned, that HR managers have now moved away from the traditional administrative roles to more functional roles, rather to more strategic roles. So develop strategies related to HR around these agile systems, so that when you make your presentations, to these top managers, you have those strategies that relate to agility. That if it's recruitment, you want to introduce an agile system. So you propose a strategy that can talk about that agility. And then lastly, you can propose a benchmark. Benchmarking is by way of comparing yourself with others and do an audit of your HR systems. HR audit, which might also include benchmarking. Highlight those areas where you are not performing well because of lack of agile systems, lack of agile. So that when you do a HR audit, you can present this audit report to the top management and make recommendations on the need for agility. So Maureen, 3 things. 1, write a proposal to the managers about agility and seek their response. 2, formulate strategies, and I'm sure you do when you prepare your HR plans. Formulate your HR strategies so that they revolve around agile structures, agile processes, and rewards. And then lastly, number 3, conduct a HR audit. And from this audit, you can present a report on how you can do better as HR through agile systems. Thank you. Maureen?
Mwalimu, I and Maureen are in the same space. And I
Maureen,
don't know if
go ahead. Let Maureen finish her part.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying thank you very much. I'll try my best.
You are welcome. You are there as an advisor as well. Like we mentioned last week, those of us who were with us, that at that level, you are a strategic advisor. So advise them well on the need for agility in your organization. Thank you. Joshua, go ahead.
Mwalimu, good morning.
Good morning.
Maureen and I are in the same space.
Yes.
How do you give that advice? How do you prepare that proposal to a management that is impervious and rigid?
Again, thank you, Joshua. It is unfortunate that sometimes we have a management that is rigid and impervious to changes in the environment, which can stifle creativity, which can affect performance, and can also affect the growth of an organization. Allow me to suggest 2 things. 1, that you become creative in the way you present your proposals. I want to imagine Joshua and Maureen, you usually have management meetings. And in these management meetings, you can make a proposal, but in a way that shifts ownership of the proposals from you to the managers. Shifts ownership. You don't own the proposals, but you make it appear as if it is the management that is intending to improve the organization. A case in point is where the manager, you can remind the managers of a session where they mentioned something very important and you thought that it can be pursued further to improve. So in that way, you are shifting the proposals from yourself to the management so that it seems like it is coming from them and that it can be worked. Or two, if you hold these management meetings, look for a problem statement. And in this problem, you want to solve a problem. Highlight the challenges you are facing as HR manager and that you propose that these challenges, if not addressed, can affect the organization, be it in terms of policy, strategy, structure, process, and systems. Highlight 3 key issues in your problem statement. 1, the legal implications. Legal implications. That if non-compliance continues to take place, then there are those legal implications. 2, you look at the financial risks. For example, having the current structure has financial implications. It could be hierarchical and tall. And for that reason, you want to make a case for restructuring the organization so that you do not fall into these financial risks. The other one is reputational. That is the third element in your problem statement. We all want to protect our brand unless the managers do not care a button. So that reputation could be enhanced through these agile systems. So that 1, you are able to attract top talent, develop top talent, and 3, retain top talent. So Maureen and Joshua, 3 things. Present your case in the form of a challenge or a problem, touching on the legal, 2, financial, and 3, reputational implications. And from there, you can gauge their reaction, because I believe the managers could not want to go down because of things that are avoidable and which can be done by the manager. Joshua?
I got you clearly.
Thank you, Joshua. Anybody else with a question or a comment to make?
Yes, Malimu.
Yes, go ahead, Ahmed Osman, go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Malimu, all is well on my side. Thank you very much for the training. I think we are good. Thank you, sir. All is well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. And thank you for your compliment. I believe we shall learn more as we move on. Sheila Hassan. And lastly, Rachel, if you are there, please make your comment.
I don't have a comment per se. All I wanted to say was thank you for the insightful session.
This is Hassan. Thank you very much. And continue staying tuned. So, ladies and gentlemen, with those few questions and comments, I now propose. Yes, Maureen, if you are there, please make your comment.
Yeah, just before you finalize on it, thank you so much for bringing the training to us. It has been very beneficial, and I hope to attend more and more as some few things will side chat. I'll look for your number and we'll side chat. Then maybe if you could kindly share the recording with us.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen.
Somebody to put off their mic is an echo. Thank you, Maureen. And I'm happy you are getting insights from this training this morning, and that there are some takeaways that you can go home with for implementation. Continue staying tuned. We shall always be.
Excuse me, Maureen.
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
I would say good morning, everyone. My name is Dan. I work for ACHRP. Now, for all of us who've attended this particular training, the easiest way to access your notes and to access the recording is to log into your portal at achrp.org. All the recordings for the trainings you've paid for, and Shaira Hassan, you can attest to that, are usually available in individual portals. I will demonstrate if you will allow me. I'll only take a minute or 2 minutes. But here I am. I want to log into my portal.
Do I stop sharing?
No.
Okay.
So here I am. Can you be able to see my portal here?
Yes, I can see it from my end.
achrp.org. Maureen, you can see my portal?
I'm using a phone, probably that's why I cannot see. I didn't log in with the laptop.
Okay. Mr. Odari, are you able to see what I'm
But
sharing?
I hear you.
Yes, I can see it clearly.
I'm on our website.
I can see.
Very good. So when you go to achrp.org, you click login. It's a very easy process. We've really simplified the hassle. So I'll put in my email there. There is no need for password as long as you have an account. Then you click login. When you log in, you'll see your portal as displayed. You go to My Certificates. Once you go to My Certificates, what you see here is you can see the courses that I have taken this year. This was the course that happened on 31st January. And there is a column here for presentation. So you click on View Now. If you do, the presentation that the trainer is using or used then is here. Can you see that? You scroll downwards. These notes are yours throughout. They will remain there. Now, if you want to watch the video, the recording, on the left panel, you'll see there is the module title here, and there is a button to play the video. So you just click play. And there you are. So at this point, you can interchange from playing the video to viewing the presentation by just clicking that way. You can switch between the presentation and the video. Then you can go back to take courses so that you're able to see your menu. Now, if you've not enrolled for this particular training, I know you might just have paid. Paying is not enough. You make payment. And the easiest thing for all of you, because you have an account in this portal, always log into your portal, go to online campus, select the course you want to take. At the online campus, there are 12 modules there, 12 of them. Each one of them is 1 CPD point. So you select the, say today's training is module number 2. You select like that, it shows 1,000, make payment to the pay bill. If you've already paid, enter that transaction code there, submit so that I can approve for you. And this particular course will now move to my certificates. If you've not done that, if you go to my certificates, you will not find anything there. Then by 4 p.m., you'll be able to access, you'll find your certificate appears blue. It needs you to download your certificate. But if you click on that, we need you to review the course. It takes less than 2 minutes to do that. There are only 5 questions. Add on question number 1 to 6. Those are, I don't know what you call these. So for example, you select if the training, how would you rate this training overall? Was it poor? Was it excellent? So those are radio buttons. You could, for example, do that. And once you do that, you make your comment. After the comment, this color from blue will turn into green. You are now able to access your certificate. It is as easy as that. If you're using a public machine, remember to log out so that no one is able to access your information. Now, there are those sometimes who say the portal is asking you for organizational details. If you don't want to use them for organizational name, you could use your name again. The email, you could still use your email. Then the phone, you could still use your own number. If you have CHRP certification or CPA, you can select from there so that your certificate will always be having your title included on that. Remember, the certificate uses the name that is on that, or that is in your portal. And for instance, if I go to the year 2025, maybe I could find a certificate that is downloadable. Yeah, there. You see, these are blue because I have not rated them. If I rate, they will turn into green. Then from the green, I'm able to download my certificate. So I've stopped sharing. Maureen, if you are, it's back to you.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. I attended the training, last week training.
Yes.
And all was well. Thank you very much. It was easy. I have followed everything. But the issue that you are telling us of the title now, Personally, I'm CHRPK, but it has not appeared in my certificate.
Yeah,
Certificate just.
thank you, brother Ahmed. I will repeat again there. There we are. I'm sharing the photo again. You can see it. Click on your profile. The profile is at the top. Below the logo, you'll find your name appearing there. You click on that so that you are able to choose your title. CHRP is actually there. For instance, I'm CHRP Dan Peters. And there, I've already set my title to appear there. If you are PhD, Dr. So, Professor, Honorable Engineer, CPA, you are able to choose from there. It is self-service, and it is very easy. Your name, where my name is appearing on the left panel there. Once you click on that, this page will open, and you can be able to select your title. And sometimes when you are not busy and you are logged into the system, you can go to my library. We have a lot of books there, a lot of books. And you could see what you want to read. And it could give you, they open very nicely. For example, there, best practices in leadership and development. You are able to read this book. Still, you scroll downwards. You can read the book from within the system. Once you are done with the book, you just close the book there. Now, don't seek for your certificate under my certifications. For certifications, my certifications, the courses that appear there are courses that start with the word certified. Those are the ones we call certifications. If you ever took a certification with us, all your certifications will appear under my certifications. But for these other courses, HR workshops and online campus and webinars, you'll find your certificate under my certificates. If you took courses last year, you are still able to access them, including the presentations. You could still access everything there. Then at that time, you have to click on the year so that you are able to access that. If you are new, like Osman, your courses will start, say, in the year 2026. Were you able to access your certificate for last time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've downloaded.
Were you able to view the presentation?
Yes.
And so the only thing that remains is that you can be able to edit your title from there. The name is not editable. I can't also edit mine. The email is not editable. But if you find that the name that is in your portal, you need maybe to add another name or amend something, just let me know via WhatsApp. And if I log out there, you will see that this WhatsApp number here will always come to me. If you send a message, I'll be able to view that. And to enroll, since you already know how to use the system, that's why you are present today. You don't need to go to the training calendar to look for the online campus, then click register. It's tedious. But still, even if you are to do that, let me show you something here. The moment you type in your email like that, all these other details are auto-populated for you because this is a system. The moment you type in your email, as long as you are typing the correct email, the other details will come out on their own. But the easiest method to enroll for a training is to just click login, enter your email address. You are logged in, go to online campus, select the course that is on offer by checking the box on the first column. You could even check several of them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. As you check the boxes, the amount changes. So then you are able to make one payment and click submit. If you do that, all these courses will appear taken. When a course is taken, I can no longer check the box there. Yes. So it is very easy to use. We try to make this system with the user in mind, so that I also don't like getting tired at all. Now, the testimonials are public, but then the system reducts your name to a point that nobody can identify you. Like you won't have Ahmed Osman or Shaira Hassan. So you find that when somebody has done the review during this part on my certificates, this part, download, this review, whatever you write there, now goes to the testimonials. And once you go to the testimonials, you can also spend some time to go through them. There are so many of them. So every time somebody, for anyone, including myself, to access my certificate, I have to review that particular course. It is better to do it the same day so that you still remember what you learned. And that is very good. And then for your particular course, if you want to access your testimonials, you find them there. For all the courses you've reviewed, you always find them under my testimonials. Then one other thing that could interest you, we have a HR forum there. We have posts. You can actually create your own post by going to new post and coming up with something there, then post. Or you can, on all the posts that are present, you can go through them and make a comment. Like for example, I made this post, and I can see there are already 2 comments from 2 different people. So it's a great way of learning new things or asking questions that you find you need answers to. Any other question?
Mwalimu, rudia mahali ya testimonials. Where are you now?
Yeah, okay. For these testimonials to appear here,
Yes, I've seen that one.
for these testimonials to appear here, this is a result of someone trying to access their certificate under my certificate, where the system requires them to review that particular course. Let me, for example, review this one. I could say excellent, outstanding, excellent, then say training. No. Governance and board engagement. So that is my review. So the moment I submit feedback, please complete the required field. There is somewhere I didn't complete this one. So then I submit. Thank you for your feedback. And you see what has happened? my certificate, which was bluish, the download button was blue in color. Now it has turned to green. It's that simple. So if I click on download certificate, I'm able to download it. Then if we go to testimonials, there is a new testimonial that has happened from me, Dan P. You see, although my name is Dan P and Gavito, what appears there is Dan P. Giving it excellent. This was my comment. So that's how those comments are generated. The testimonials are generated from real course reviews. And the other day I was looking at something very interesting here. I checked for ACHRP reviews, and AI is already able to pick them. You can see participants in ACHRP training programs generally report positive experiences. You can actually do the same and see what AI says after it has gone through the reviews and the testimonials that have been left by the users. That's okay, Osman?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Shaira Hassan, it's nice to see you today.
Thank you, Dan.
Shaira has been with us for the last 10 years. True? And Charles Gitau, you are there?
Yes, I'm there.
Charles Gitau is a past director at the judiciary, is it? Rachel Litiku, nice to see you again. It's a long time. And Joshua Enane, you're most welcome. Ahmed, you are in very good company. Okay?
Yes, sir. Just to add, Malimu, I just started last week.
Yes.
And for your information, I was among the cohort of 2025 CHRP.
Yes.
There are so many colleagues of mine that we completed together.
True.
And already we have a very big platform for a forum for the cohort of 2025.
Yes.
As the training was going on, I even reached out to one of our colleagues, who is someone like our mentor there.
Mm-hmm.
And in Islam, we normally say, Inshallah, God willingly. I will be reaching out to so many colleagues of mine so that they come and take advantage of these courses that you are offering. I will do that one for the sake of humanity.
Thank you. You are very much welcome. You're also welcome to, when you find time, to participate in our actual workshops, like an extra certification. For example, I would say, what are certifications? Like Charles Kagwe is a certified human resource auditor. Now, we use certifications. For example, after attending this course, what you get is a certificate of participation. When you attend a certification training, you get a certification, yes, where, yes, you become CHRP and Osman, CHRA. Now, somebody saying that you're able to enter a room full of CHRPs and say, I'm also a certified human resource auditor, or I'm a certified human resource director. You can imagine nowadays what is happening at the workplaces. Your assistants, everybody else is in class doing CHRP. So by the end of the day, all of you are CHRP. So when you want to be ahead of the pack, you now go for certification. Now, they enable you to specialize in a certain area. We are not training, we don't train you to become a HR. You're already a HR. Now you get an in-depth training. You become a certified human resource auditor. That's why you saw on the portal there is that part for my certifications. All those are the certifications that you hold. And Charles, if he was to share with you, he'll tell you how our physical trainings are. Yeah, we train. That's why we are an academy. So by the end of the day, you leave the training feeling that, yeah, I got trained. That's okay? So Malim, I think you are concluding your training before I interjected, is it?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, Dan, for your insightful presentation. I'm sure all of us are now clear about how to access our portal, your certificates, and other courses that are on offer. Thank you, Dan. I want us to move on to the next part, and that is organization change leadership. And allow me to scroll down.
Malim, you can do it on slideshow.
Okay. There we are. As HR managers, we are the drivers of change in our organizations. Change is important because it can be a fresh breath of air, because sometimes things become so monotonous and we no longer enjoy. Or sometimes things are not working and therefore do not achieve our objectives. Or sometimes we make losses and that requires action to be taken. So as drivers of change, we need to understand what changes that are required, why they are required, and make deliberate efforts to ensure that we introduce new changes effectively and then manage transition. So we lead change because we want to be role models, and that we ensure that the changes that are being introduced are working for the benefit of our organizations and not individuals. What do we mean by change leadership? That as HR managers, we guide our organizations through transformation. Allow me to differentiate between change and transformation, because it is possible that we are not clear about the two. Change is what is happening to the organization, what is going on. That currently an organization could be undergoing or considering a change in policy or introducing a new policy, or it wants to introduce a new system, or it wants to develop a new strategy. So whatever is happening in the organization as a way of moving from the older ways of doing things to a new one, then that is change. And we can talk about cultural change, 2, strategic change, 3, technological change, or 4, management change. So whatever is shifting in the organization is a change, and that is what is happening. For transformation is shifting the mindset of people so that, one, there is a buy-in to that change. 2, there is a acceptance of the new way of doing things. 3, people are equipped with the relevant skills to manage the change. And that 4, there is a new mindset or an attitude of looking at the organization. So transformation is a process of onboarding the change so that it is clear to everybody, it is acceptable, and that people develop the mindset that allows it to be implemented. The challenge many organizations are facing is to introduce change, but they don't walk the people through so that they are transformed. So transformation is not just bringing the change, but also changing people's behavior, attitudes, and the way of working so that the change is implemented effectively. As I said, many things can be changed, like structure, systems, policies, and strategies. So we need to bring about transformation. That how do we move from the old to the new so that people accept, people will start working and develop those positive attitudes. Allow me to repeat again that 70% of the changes that we introduce are people-oriented. So as HR managers, we need to find out how we can ensure that the changes we introduced are onboarded in a way that is seamless, in a way that is value add, and in a way that makes the organization succeed. So the difference between success and failure in an organization is how we handle transformation. So what is the focus of the leaders in managing change? They emphasize people, culture, and leadership. So when you emphasize people, you are looking at the needs of employees, their roles in this process, and the outcomes expected from each of them, so that everybody is carried on board. And if there are possible challenges, there needs to be communication, there needs to be involvement, there needs to be consultation. That's where the focus is on people. And then culture relates to the values, the norms, and the belief systems of our organizations. At the end, we will be talking about culture change, that our values can change, our norms can change, but how we inculcate these values into our system is what makes the difference. So we are shifting from the normal management of change and emphasize people, culture, and leadership. And then the purpose of this concept of change leadership is to inspire, motivate, and align. That leaders influence the way people do things. They influence the way people think. They also influence people to accept and do things that they would not have otherwise done. So as change leaders, our purpose is to inspire people to be the best that they can ever be. And I can demonstrate that in the next slide by showing the characteristics of effective change leaders. They are visionary. So that vision inspires people. That courage inspires them. That willingness or that will to succeed inspires people. And you also support them. Scope, what does it cover? The change leadership covers or applies to all levels, from the chief executive, say from the board, the lowest level person. There must be a transformation, a shift in the way we do things, so that we focus on success and impact. And lastly, what is the goal of change leadership? Is to achieve commitment, that is the dedication of people to the organization. Adoption, that means embracing the changes that we want to introduce. Sustainability, that means being resilient even in the face of challenges. So in a nutshell, change leadership are those managers who transform their organizations for the better, inspire and motivate others, and create a commitment among the teams so that people can achieve both individual, departmental, and organizational objectives. Why does it matter to have change leadership? One is to guide transformation, meaning that as HR managers, we direct change toward attainment of organizational goals and success. As I said, transformation is about improving the mindset of people, the behavior, and their attitudes, so that change is acceptable. To align teams, ensuring that everybody from the top to the bottom is working towards set objectives. And that speaks to what we said about agile organizations. And agile organizations are those working teams. So as a leader, you need to create tasks and functions around teams so that people can support each other and achieve synergy. The other one is drive engagement. Engagement is the level of commitment to the organization and the participation. If leaders manage change, inspire employees and motivate them, then employees are likely to be engaged. And an engaged employee is likely to stay than those who are disengaged. The other reason why we need to have this change leadership is to reduce the resistance. we all face resistance, even at the lowest level, that is the family level. You want some things to change at your family level, and then you see people refusing to accept that change. Or in an organization, you want to introduce a new technology, people are reluctant. So that reluctance can be avoided if the managers can inspire people and motivate them to accept the change, so that there is no fear, no opposition. And lastly, we want to ensure sustainable results. There is need for change leadership. That mindset that we can change for the better, and that change is constant, and that change can work for us, is what people are looking for. So that there is a positive mindset that in spite of all the changes that are taking place, there is always something good that will come out of it. And once we get the buy-in from the employees, then there will be sustainable improvement. What are the traits of effective change leaders? Quite a number of them. I've given 6. One is a clear vision. You need to direct people to what they need to achieve in the longer term. What do you want them to achieve? So if it's technology you want to introduce as part of the change, where does that lead to? What do you want to achieve with that technology? Perhaps to improve efficiency and effectiveness in the resource utilization, or cut cost. So people need to see clearly where that technological change is leading to. And people should be brought on board so that they can share in that vision. So that vision is that future where you want the organization to be, either in terms of technology, culture, structure, policies, or even strategy. So without that vision, that direction is lost. Secondly, effective change leaders are good communicators. And the communicators are the people who provide relevant information at the right time, at the right places, to the right people. But for leaders, we are successful because we listen more than we talk. It is argued that those leaders who talk more than they listen, they are likely to fail. Why? Because when they talk, they don't get anything new. They don't get feedback. They are just talking. But when you listen, you gain more, because you get new ideas, new ways of doing things, and also get feedback on how you are doing. So effective change leaders are those who can listen effectively. And I would propose 70% of our time should be spent on listening. So without listening, we are preparing to fail. The other one is empathy, that is putting ourselves in the shoes of those that we are managing. Ensure that they understand what we want to do with the change, how we shall do it, with who and where. And if there are any challenges, the stakeholders should be supported by way of training, supported by way of counseling, supported by way of resources. So you cannot expect people to accept change if you don't understand their current situation. You just want to force things on them. They are also humans, and humans, just like metals, they have their boiling points, or even water. They have their boiling points. They can boil overboard and things can go south. The other trait is resilience, that they are persistent in what they are doing. They develop systems that ensure that the organization is stable. Frequent changes can cause instability. But when we develop policies and cultures that stabilize that change, then we develop resilience. So despite the challenges, we need to develop mechanisms that will bring about stability in the face of changes. I have talked about influence by way of inspiring and motivating others. And how do we inspire and motivate? By walking the talk. If it is a change in systems, a system like learning management system, we should be the first ones to register for this new system so that we start learning ahead of others. That is inspiring and it motivates. So without forcing people to do what they have to do, we can lead by example. And then lastly is being decisive. Don't take a long time to make a decision, especially in the face of change. Because a delay in our decisions may have implications on service delivery or even our competitiveness. And that is why we mentioned that in agile organizations, we need to have structures that enable people to make decisions and innovate. So empowerment timely in the decisions that we make. What are the key frameworks in change management? I'm sure we have been exposed to many of this. I've only picked 4. That is the Kotter's 8 Welcome back. Sorry, I lost network from my end. Hello, Joshua, Charles, are you there?
Yes, Joshua is there.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Charles, and everybody else. I lost network here. Let's go on. So we were looking at the key frameworks related to change. And I was talking about the Kotter's 8-step model, where we are creating the need for change, that is agency. Coalition, where we are bringing people together to embrace the change. And then from there, we create a vision so that people are working towards a common goal. Communication, we share. Once we have created that agency, created people or teams around that vision, and then we communicate. And then from there, we empower people to make decisions. In terms of wins, we look for areas in which we can quickly make progress and then keep the momentum. Stay focused so that we don't lose sight of the changes that we have introduced. And then lastly, create a culture that supports the change. Why the culture? It is because culture stabilizes change. For example, the values, the norms, and then you bring in the element of policy, which institutionalizes the new change. ADKAR focuses on awareness. That is what A stands for. Let people be aware of the changes that we want to introduce. Then a desire. What can create a desire in people? It is because of the benefits that they are going to get from the change. And then next is the knowledge. Train people, create awareness so that people know what the change is about, what their role is, and how it is being implemented. Ability is about the skills and knowledge that people have for implementing the change. Is the organization able to implement the change? If the answer is no, then we need to look at several things. 1, resources. 2, trained staff. And 3, structure. Then the third model is the Lewin's process model. Kurt Lewin developed several models. This one is a process model. There's another one called the force field model. But for today, let's look at the process model, where the first step in any change, whether it is strategy, process, or policy, we unfreeze. Unfreezing means realization of the need for change. This could be because of the problems that we face or the challenges that may arise in an organization. And then from there, we transform or change, move from the old to the new ones by way of allocating resources or piloting the system. And then after that, we refreeze. Refreezing means that we make the change part of our culture. And how do we do that? We develop new policies, new rules, and the new systems until there is another need for change so that we can unfreeze. And then lastly is McKinsey's 7S model, starting with strategy, that whatever changes we introduce must be aligned with strategy. Whether it's financial strategy, HR strategy, political, structural strategies, all of them must be aligned. And then structure. Does the structure support that change? If it does not, then we may have to modify the change or modify the structure. Systems are frameworks through which we implement change. So we need to create systems that are supportive of change. From a HR perspective, we create systems around the functions. Like recruitment, we create a system like ATS. Training, we create a system like LMS. Performance, we create a system like PMS, and many other systems. And then skills. People must be skilled in implementing change. If they are not skilled, 2 things. 1, train them so that they can acquire the skills, or 2, bring on board with the right skills. Then style, this is the way we do things, including management. What is the style of management or leadership? Leadership can discourage change or make it hard. Staff, these are the numbers, qualities of employees. And then lastly is the shared value, which speaks to the culture of the organization. Shared values like transparency, accountability, honesty. This should be embraced during change. That if things don't go right, somebody should be accountable. That's a shared value. Honesty, we should not hide things during the change process. Let us face the facts as they are by being honest. What are the roles of a leader in this change process? One is to communicate the vision, which I said is one of the characteristics of a good change leader. Two, aligning priorities, especially with the strategic objectives, so that only those things that are key to the success of the organization are addressed during the change. Then remove obstacles. That means eliminating barriers, such as policies, processes, skills, and even systems. If there are obstacles, we remove them. And in some cases, we need to empower. Giving people us to make decisions, but also ensuring that they are accountable for the decisions they make. We also monitor progress, make sure that the changes we introduce are creating value by frequently measuring performance. And then lastly, we need to reward success. Where there are achievements, we celebrate. So if there is a change in structure that has been effectively implemented, we celebrate that. If there is a change in policy, it is effectively implemented, we celebrate. And those celebrations inspire people and encourage them to perform even better when a new change arises. As change leaders, these are the communication strategies. One, maintains transparency by sharing information in an open manner. Two, two-way communication, encourage dialogue. Don't talk to people, talk with them. The moment you talk to people, it means that you are simply giving instructions and not encouraging them to participate. And then second is explain the reason why the change is being undertaken so that people know the benefits, the challenges, their roles, and the possible outcomes. Storytelling is another important communication strategy that, like I mentioned earlier, the HR manager is well positioned to tell the story about managing people. So tell stories that inspire. Tell stories that touch on people's emotions. That in this way, we are likely to connect with people, get their buy-in, and also get support. Regular updates by giving those reports are important, progress reports. People want to know how well they are doing in this change process. Without those regular updates, we might lose sight of what is going on or continue moving in the wrong direction. And that is why we make slow progress. Somebody argued that we don't blame a person who is making slow progress, moving in the wrong direction. But if you maintain the right direction, you will always make good progress. And that is where regular progress reports come in. And again, use multiple channels. Don't rely only on one. If it is email, don't rely on email only. Use WhatsApp if need be. Use emails. Use meetings as a way of communicating any changes. Engaging stakeholders is another important aspect in managing change. One, identify those people who have an interest in the organization, both internal and external, who they are and what their interests are. Two, start engaging them early enough, perhaps at the beginning of the change process. Don't wait until it's time for implementation for you to engage anybody. Everybody should be on board, and that is why we say that in agile organizations, there is teamwork, there is flexibility, and there is cross-functional collaboration. Then their interests must be aligned. Different stakeholders have different interests. Employees want to be paid. Shareholders want dividends. And financiers also want value for their money. These interests must be aligned when we are bringing about change. For example, technology. If you bring technology and employees are not interested because they might lose jobs, you might end up being sabotaged or not achieving your objectives. So for you to align these interests, talk to the employees in advance, train them so that they can handle these technologies. Because technology is not there to take anybody's job, but also to ensure that people are onboarded efficiently and effectively. Thirdly, rather fourthly, we need to address issues that people have by way of listening and resolving those issues. Don't wait. The issues must be resolved as soon as they occur. Then provide resources like tools, equipment, and people so that there are no delays during the change process. And lastly, ensure that you keep engaging the employees at all times so that everybody moves at the same pace and in the right direction. How do we monitor and learn from change? We say that any change that we bring to the organization can become a lesson to be learned. So how do we track these changes and learn from them? One, we use KPIs to measure progress. If it is a structural change, you change the structure by way of removing certain roles and introducing new ones. Look at the KPIs. What was the need of changing? Maybe improved revenue collection, two, enhanced customer satisfaction, or three, positive corporate image. We can track this by way of collecting feedback. So gather feedback to see how well we are doing using those KPIs. Where there are any changes or challenges, we adjust our strategies as need may arise. We said that we should celebrate any success. It may not be big celebrations, but a token can help, especially for those people who are change champions. Address resistance because resistance stifles change and delays the implementation of change. So any indications of resistance, like people coming late, people absenting themselves, or people working sluggishly, those are signs of resistance. We should address them as quickly as possible. And lastly, ensure accountability. People must be responsible for what the outcome is or the results they produce. Before I invite any questions so that we can close, we want to look at culture change. When we met last week, we talked about strategic HR framework and corporate governance. And we said that culture is one of the key elements of corporate strategy and governance. Why? Because culture determines the way people behave, two, the way people do things, and three, the results that we produce. Culture relates to three things. One, values. Two, beliefs. And three, norms. Speaking of values, like somebody mentioned last week, I think it was Susan, she said that for us to play our A game, we need to promote a positive culture which revolves around transparency, accountability, professionalism, as well as teamwork. That if we want to succeed in this change process, our culture must also change or improve. So by way of introduction, I've said that culture is about those values, behaviors, and norms. The values are things that we consider to be important for success, such as transparency, accountability, honesty, and teamwork. Two, culture influences the way people work, relate with one another, and as well as their attitudes. So culture shapes attitudes, work habits, and collaboration. If there is no culture of teamwork, there will be no collaboration. If there is no culture of innovation, there will be no innovation. Then culture looks at how it affects. Culture change looks at how it affects productivity and performance. So again, I said earlier that a poor structure, which does not encourage teamwork innovation, leads to poor performance. Engagement, a strong culture improves employee relations. It motivates people, retention, and satisfaction. That through a culture of teamwork, employees become motivated. Through a culture of work, of promoting and rewarding innovation, employees are retained. And through a culture of recognition, employees are satisfied. And all this must be aligned with the strategic goals and the long-term objectives. What are the signs that an organization needs a cultural change? One is low engagement, where employees are not motivated. High turnover, employees are exiting in large numbers. Strategy misalignment, the strategies are not being achieved because of poor behaviors and attitude. Resistance, people are not taking initiative, they are not reporting to work, and also they are not performing to expected standards. Poor collaboration, people are not working together as expected. And the customer decline, when customers don't receive the quality services and products they look for, then they leave. So when the customers leave, it's a sign that there is a problem with the way people are working, which speaks to the culture. And how do we ensure, as change management professionals or experts, how do we ensure that we introduce change, especially in cultural change, in a way that is efficient and effective? One, you assess the current structure. What is your current structure like? For example, is there teamwork? Two, are employees rewarded for innovation? Three, is there celebration of success? If none of this is working, then there is need to change that culture. Then two, define the desired culture. So what kind of behaviors and the values do you want to see in the organization? For example, there is a lot of theft and the corruption. That speaks to the value of honesty. And they speak to also the element of integrity, honesty and integrity. So again, you look at the desired culture. Do you want to embrace honesty and integrity? Yes. Do you want to embrace transparency? Yes. Do you want to ensure accountability? Yes. So those should be the desired cultural practices. And then from there, you develop interventions by way of creating forums where people can exchange ideas and also pick best practices, both from within and outside. And then from there, you align leadership and ensure that the leaders of the organization are driving the right cultural change. Because we have said that leaders are the drivers of change, we should ensure that our executives are able to lead that change. So what do we do to ensure that leaders are aligned? One, we train them. Two, we coach them. And three, we mentor them. If all these are not working, then we can bring others from outside so that we can develop a leadership that is responsive to cultural change. And then we communicate. I say that a good leader is a good communicator. Share the goals, share the values, share the behaviors that you expect. So communicate the expectations from the new culture that you have developed. And lastly, just like in any other process, we need to monitor progress so that we get feedback on how we are doing. Without feedback, we may have lost direction, and therefore we might not be achieving our desired results. What are the challenges that we face during change management? I've talked about them. Resistance is one of them. Alignment, meaning that whatever changes that we introduce are not directed at achieving corporate objectives and strategy. Sometimes we are not consistent. How can we be consistent? We create a change in culture, follow it up in the first few months, and then forget about it. Things go so wrong, and then later we realize that we lost it, and then we go back. That is inconsistency. Consistency requires that we do regular monitoring, regular adaptation, and ensuring that if there are any challenges, they are addressed in time. Another challenge is measurement. Sometimes we cannot measure cultural outcomes in real numbers, but we can see them in behavioral changes. So we should develop KPIs that can enable us to measure cultural change. The other one is time. We don't have enough time to ensure that the cultural changes that we have introduced are achieved over the long term. So that becomes a challenge because we do not allocate enough time to this change process. And then lastly is the element of communication, where there's no effective communication, especially by the leadership of our organizations. What is the role of leaders in the cultural change? We must be role models. Two, act as ambassadors, meaning that we speak positively about the organization by way of promoting those desired cultural values. We support adaptation, one, by way of giving our own personal time and also providing resources. Reinforce the values by way of rewarding those people who behave well. Then align our decisions to reflect the corporate strategies. And lastly, we ensure those barriers, such as resistance to change, are eliminated. I want to bring this to a close by looking at how we can engage employees in the cultural change process. One, we involve them, not once, but all the time. Empower them, meaning that encourage them to make decisions and remain accountable. Three, encourage dialogue. Let there be open conversations about key issues that are affecting everybody. Then recognize contribution. This cannot be wished away. We need to reward those employees who make positive contribution. We promote collaboration and teamwork, and then promote ownership. If we had the time, we could look at this case, but I'm sure in your spare time, you could look at it. And perhaps based on what we have discussed, what is the cultural challenge we are facing? How are they facing this organization, which we have called GPA? And what are the leaders expected to do in order to bring about positive change? Otherwise, on that note, I want to bring it to the end. I want to invite any questions that we may have or any comments so that we may close it there. Anybody with a question or a comment to make, please go ahead. Charles, go ahead.
No comment, Mwalimu. It's just to say thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Sheila Hassan, if you are there. Ahmed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ahmed. Rachel. Joshua, if you have a question or comment to make, please tumalizie. Okay. There being no other questions.
Hello, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Joshua here. Hey, sorry, I got lack there a little bit. I just wanted to say
okay,
that.
Go ahead with your question or comment.
I just wanted to say that this is my first time to attend this session, and yes. I have found it quite enriching, quite enlightening, and touching on topical issues that affect us HR people and in running organizations successfully, so that organizations can achieve return on investment. So I would like to say that I'll be a regular member of these sessions so that we can share and share knowledge and just enrich one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joshua. You have finished us very well. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. I look forward to seeing you again another time, same place, same time. Thank you, and have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you all, sir.